welcome you to Second Sundays. We've been doing this for several months now, not by choice. I was kind of pushed into this by my higher self to do kind of a monthly message, and especially with the times of change that we're in, the time of change that we're in right now, everything is moving so quickly. I love to be able to every month show up with an update and information. And for any of you guys who haven't been here before, this is Transcendence Wellness Center, and this is our second location. We have just opened it, and we are very excited about this growth opportunity that we have. We're going to keep Transcendence location that you guys have probably all been to as our treatment division right now. And we're going to utilize this space for a larger classroom and build out. So if any of you guys have read my mission statement, sustainable living is a huge part of the future. It is a huge part of where we're moving into as a community and a culture. And understanding how to take care of ourselves and feed ourselves and treat ourselves and doctor ourselves is going to be crucial in the future. So what we do here at Transcendence is very unique in the premise that we focus on the root cause of suffering. And the root cause of suffering is basically a lack of understanding self. It's a lack of awareness. So everything that we do here is teach basically how to raise your consciousness and how to raise your personal awareness, because it is your personal journey. You're here for you, right? And it's just, we need that education and that remembrance of how to do us, how to take care of us. We have given our power away our whole lives, and now it's time to relearn that. And we need to do that through personal awareness training, sustainable living training, nutrition training, and guidance and support along that journey, because it does feel dark sometimes, and it does feel scary. And so we're here to remind every one of ourselves that we are one, and that we're in this together. And that's why I've been doing these Second Sundays, because basically it's like my opportunity to get what's stuck back here, out here. And I want to tell you a little bit about this building, because this story of how we got this space is extremely synchronistic and very divinely timed. Susie and I, we opened Transcendence in 2014 with the idea that we were going to create a very large community overnight of energy practitioners and wellness coaches and holistic doctors, and just build a community where we could thrive in education. Well, you guys saw our building. We were pretty limited in what we could do, but two moms, basically, no bank loans, just a lot of heart and a lot of soul. We did it, and we did it for a year, and we did well. And I'm not talking about financially. We did well in kind of getting our word out and meeting all of you. We had such a desire to grow. We wanted to possibly have land and do spiritual retreats, but we needed it to be somewhere that was commutable, somewhere that people could actually get to on a lunch break or after work, and having land in the city just seemed kind of unreachable to us. And so one day, Susie and her husband were driving past, and they saw a for sale sign on this building. Immediately, Susie called me and said, we have to go look at this building. So we pulled up, we saw the shape of it, the Buddha house, and we said, this is it. This is our space. This is where we can grow. It's completely zoned out for a farmer's market. There's room for sustainable living classes. There's a barn that I can turn into a schoolhouse. And there's a house on the property. So we're basically on 5 entry points. And we are basically in a central corner location. So, of course, we said, this is our space. And we called the guy, and there was a $1 million price tag on this location. Susie and I are like looking at our purse like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Not today. So what we did is we asked the man to meet with us. And he did. And at the time, he was teaching Taekwondo out of this room on Thursday nights. And we began telling him our story about what we were looking for and what we want and what we did. And, you know, he really fell in love with the idea of what we were trying to do here. And it aligned with what he wanted to do, because a few years back, about 5 years back, he tried to put together a team and do something very similar. So I think he was excited, we were excited. You know, we sat down, just had a heart-spaced conversation about how we could financially pull this property together for us. And by the end of the conversation, he was begging us to take it for a very small amount. And we kind of had our poker faces on, and we said, oh, sure, yeah, we'll take it off your hands, you know. So then he says, okay, good, because this place has been for sale for 10 years. It's cursed. And Susie and I said, well, we're good with that. So that was on a Monday, and that Saturday we had keys. So this has all happened extremely fast. And so we have been pulling, you know, 14, 15-hour days trying to get this space ready, trying to get the other space set up. And we have had so much help from our team. I just want to thank everybody that's participated in helping us with the painting and the moving and all of that. So I just can't extend my gratitude enough for all of you who've been a part of that. You know, we threw together this Valentine's Day party last night as kind of a soft welcome. We wanted people to see our space. We wanted to celebrate the idea of Valentine's Day that can sometimes be, you know, kind of off-putting. And celebrate basically love without limits, love unconditional, love without gender, love without ideas, just love. And it's suiting that today, second Sunday, falls on Valentine's Day. And this Valentine's Day energy is very masculine. It's very pushy. It's very action-based, which is perfect for this month that we are in energetically. This month energetically is all about taking action. You're technically, the soul phase that you're in right now is a little bit like junior high. It's awkward. You don't want to go back to elementary school, but you're not quite ready for high school. So as we awaken, we move through these different layers of consciousness, and the point that we are in right now is the most uncomfortable point that we have ever felt on this planet, because we are evolving and growing and we are feeling awkward. We are feeling pushed to grow in areas that we don't even know how to grow in. We are pushed to move into spaces we've never been. We are pushed now to relieve ourselves from any commitments, obligations, stories, and people that no longer serve where we're heading. We're being pushed energetically right now into our fear. And that is feeling kind of masculine. So this masculine love that's pushing within you right now is gearing you up, basically, to get your sea legs for the new world. The new world is all about change and oneness and community and unconditional love. And none of that can happen when you're sitting in your comfort zones complaining about your job or your boyfriend or your body. So whatever challenges that you are in right now are specifically for you to grow. Every negative is a shortcut. It's a fast forward button. The only way through the pain to get to the light is to feel our feelings and to actually look at our life and take stock of what we have to work with and find that light within you that is bigger than the fear that is within you. Because just like taking on this big property, you know, Susie and I are not business people. You know, we're lovers, we're mothers, we're teachers, we're practitioners. And we are going head first into our fear of developing property and building community and doing things that we've never done before as friends, as partners, as parents. And it's been interesting the last couple of weeks, feeling all of the energy shifting. It's really bringing up a lot of shadow work. So as you move into the unknown, which is exactly where you're heading, it will feel a little bit like junior high. And your bodies are being pushed into this energy as well, and we're all detoxing right now. I want to make sure that you understand the symptoms that are happening right now within your physical bodies are completely normal. Throat issues, headaches, back pain, acne, right? It's like junior high all over again, literally. Leg pain, growing pains. You are growing right now, energetically. You are growing mentally. You are asked to basically push your belief systems outside of that box that you've been in your whole life and tap into the universal mind, where there's a whole new set of ideas and there's a whole new set of opportunities waiting. But it's not going to happen for you unless you start that first day of school. You learn your new locker code. You show up and you feel awkward. You've got all these different teachers now. You have a whole school full of kids you've never seen before. This is what February is like right now, energetically. And on the planet, I want to make sure that you guys know that everything that we're doing here is completely in alignment with the shift. I have a lot of you come to me and say, when is the money going to go away? When is the government going to go away? Well, I'm going to tell you it's already started. And we will first notice the biggest financial shifts in China and in Greece. And basically it will create a domino effect within the next 5 to 10 years. We will no longer be using money as a form of who we are as personal value. Right now, you look in the mirror and you somewhat define yourself with what's in your bank account. That will not be you in the future. So what I'm asking you today is, who are you without that? Can you be part of a community? Can you take care of each other? Because once money is gone, who are you? Who are you in your community? Who are you to your family? If money was gone today, I can guarantee you in this room alone, we could have an entire community. There would be someone in this audience who knows how to grow food. There was someone in this audience who knows how to teach children. There's someone in this audience who knows how to build a house. And there's lots of you in this room that know how to lead. So here we are. This is basically what life is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years, and we're going to go back to personal value. We will be represented by who we are and not what we have. Because what we have is what we've been given when we were unaware. We are the creators of our own reality, and that's why we are creating this change. Because we can no longer identify with symbols that don't represent love. We cannot understand anything that is cruelty, conformity, authoritative. Everyone in this room came for the opposite of that. They came for change. They came for opportunity. We knew this was going to be hard work. We knew that we were going to feel alone for a really long time. But I can tell you, every single person in this room has felt alone and isolated. Even amongst your spiritual community, you felt different. Because as the second coming, as the rebirth of Christ, which is in your DNA, you hold the seed of unconditional love. And just as you walk down the street, that vibrates. Other people feel that, and they don't know what it is, but they feel it. It's an unspoken love. And it is vibrating throughout your entire being. And as you become more aware of who you are, that field starts to radiate out and it reaches more people. And all you have to do is be you. You're not on the planet for the success in the traditional sense. You're on the planet to remind everyone what love is. And we do that through joy. When we actually embrace joy and follow our hearts, everything takes care of itself, doesn't it? It's only when we listen to our logic and our reason that we end up having a very big lesson, don't we? A lesson that we have to now learn again, self-love. Because if you think about every lesson that you've had up until this point, it always takes you back to that 0 point of self-love and self-worth. Right? You get in that relationship that's not serving you, and at the end of it, you're like, I deserve better. Lesson learned. So our lessons are about embracing the idea that you were born with knowing. You don't have to learn anything. It's time to start focusing on what your personal value is and what you bring to the table. Who are you? We find out who we are when crisis happens. I have this amazing client, and she is working with children who have cancer. And she was telling me a story the other day, and she's a nurse. And she was telling me a story the other day about how amazing cancer is for some families. Because basically what it does is it wakes the parents up. It reminds everyone who they are and what's important. And that really stuck with me. Because that's all pain ever is it's a reminder. What is actually important in our lives? Is it our house, our car, our money, our jobs, what other people think of us? Or is it when someone needs help, we're there? I can guarantee you, helping someone else is the best feeling in the world to you because that's who you are. You can't not be that. And as the money starts to shift from the inside, and when I say money, I mean our financial structure, our energy structure, our food structure, as all this begins to change and we no longer have to ask for food, ask for money, we need to know how to create those things. We need to know how to feed each other. We need to know how to take care of our bodies because your body is designed to heal itself. You have to get out of your own way long enough for your body's innate, divine perfection to take back over. And within that, no disease can live in your body. As we return to original medicine, we need our shamans, we need our ancients, and we need our new seeds that are coming in with the higher technologies to form a better, clean, healthy system. Because our plants that are on this planet are our spirit guides. They are here to remind us who we are and heal us. All we need to know is who they are again and how to get them. Because what we can't heal with thought alone, there is everything that is seated on this planet to take care of the rest. And when we have to look outside of ourselves for that help and that solution, then we give away our power. We give away our power when we go to the doctor and say, please tell me what's wrong with me. Instead of knowing yourself so completely that all you have to do is take a step within, locate the discord, and correct the changes. That's how simple it will be. And as we move out of ego, it will not go easily. It is going to hang on for dear life. But what is the ego? My definition of ego is it's your wounded inner child. So if we can look at ego as something to love, and something to heal, and something to nurture, then we don't have to be afraid of it constantly sabotaging us and holding us back and holding us captive in situations that no longer serve us. Because the death of the ego is going to happen very, very specifically. And I want to give you a little tool so that you can locate where your ego is in its death process right now. First, the ego is unawareness. It is the quintessential victim. It is everyone else's fault, and I am separate, and I am alone, and I am afraid, and I am lost, and I am weak, and I am sick. Sound familiar? It's a lot of our society. The ego, in its natural habitat of the wounded child, is full of tantrum and pain. It's full of grief. Because anyone who harbors resentment, frustration, or anger is basically just the byproduct of an intense amount of grief underneath. Because anger is sadness's bodyguard. And so if you're angry right now, basically your child is just in grief. So if we can go inside and look at ego for what is really going on and love it like the child that it is, I promise you that it will not only integrate into the higher perspective of you, it will help you on your journey. Because children love to be of service. They love to contribute. They just need to know that they are valued. They need certainty. They need love. So when you are, as a light worker, not abusing others and not hurting others and not hurting animals and not eating meat and not hurting a soul, I can promise you, you still are hurting someone. And light workers, you're hurting yourselves. You're self-abusing because your ego still needs to be. And it needs to express its feelings. And as light workers, we cannot hurt anyone. We can't. We don't understand cruelty, but I can promise you, you've turned it on yourself. So the sabotage is about you, not what you're not showing up as, or giving your time away, or rescuing at the pet clinics. What are you doing with you? Because you know what? I promise you, light workers, that's where ego is hiding. It's forgiven mom. It's forgiven dad. It's forgiven our abusers. But have we forgiven ourselves? And the second stage of ego death is awareness. It is, I'm awake. And the ego wakes up into this whole world of, I have been spoon-fed all of this identity, and I didn't even get to choose my name. I didn't get to choose what I believed in when I grew up. I didn't get to choose my church. I didn't get to choose my school. I didn't get to choose anything, did I? And I was not taught how to create my reality. So if I wanted something, it had to come through certain people. So therefore, I developed belief systems that were in alignment with what they wanted, so that I could manifest through the path of least resistance. So the ego is beginning to awaken. It is beginning to take stock of its environment and say, wow, I created all this? And then there's a new death of ego. And we call the ego moving into the third phase, which is, I am spiritual. And the ego loves this space. Because you know what? There's power here. There's so much power for the ego. Now the ego hasn't healed anything yet. The ego is just now aware of itself. It is aware that it feels separate. It is aware that it feels different. So it grasps hold of something that feels bigger than itself. So I'm grabbing my spirituality. And now, I am a spiritual person. And I have knowledge. I understand the universe. I understand that I create all this. I understand that I can manifest my reality. Yet in this place where the ego lies, nothing changes in that person's life. They just know a lot. They just understand. But there has not been a practical application of anything spiritual yet, because when we look at their time, we look at their money, we look at their health, and we look at their relationships, nothing has shifted. They're just more aware. So now they don't fit at all. I like to call this space hell on earth. Because you know a lot, and you still don't do it. So it's that waiting space between taking life by the horns and sitting and reading a metaphysical book for 20 years. It's the action space that we are in now as a community. And we are moving in to the fourth part of the death of the ego, which I call, I am authentic. Now, authentic still has a haze of ego in it, right? Whenever you see a product that says, I'm authentic, it's like I have something to prove. But being authentic is a lot better than being spiritual, because you're not defining yourself with your personal power anymore, you're just being you. And this is where we learn how to be us. So this is a beautiful place for ego. This is where we stop caring what people think of us. We start moving from what's in our heart, and we start developing hobbies again, and developing new relationships, and leaving jobs that don't serve us. And this is the first action step of ego death. We are moving into this part. How many of you here feel authentic? You're moving there. You're starting to get really okay with who you are, aren't you? And you know what? When you look about it, you're like, I don't even know if I'm spiritual. I'm just me. Let's give that word up. Because at the basis of us, all we are is love. So if we want to define that as spirituality, we can. But technically, we are in the authentic phase of this ground crew here. And this ground crew right now is the ones who will determine the next 5-10 years. Our children, this row right here that's sitting up front, this age group right here, these are our game changers. They are the ones that come in already hard-drived, built with the frequencies of the new world. They don't need your permission, they don't want your permission, and they don't care what you think of them. They're going to change the planet, and they don't care if they die trying, because it's just a spacesuit, right? So us, being the mothers and the fathers and the way showers to the awakened, as we move into our authenticity, we need to become inspired by what's left to heal. And it's all determined on what you do this year. This is your year. 2016, the year of manifestation, it's time to move. It's time to level up. It's time to basically face all of your fears. It's time to walk in the direction of joy. It's time to be a leader. If there's no one in front of you, become that leader. It's time for you to outgrow the life that you had last week. What would you need to do to outgrow the life that you were living last week? What would you have to let go of in order to live the life you're wanting to live? And that's interesting, right? You don't have to gain anything. You have to let go. You don't have to learn anything. You have to let go. What do you need to let go of in order to grow? What belief system? What community? What family dynamic? What pattern of behavior? Look within yourselves and ask yourself the question, what do I need to let go of so that I can accelerate? I decided for 2016 my personal goal was going to be expansion. So in order for me to expand, I had to basically take stock of every single thing that I was living small. Every way that I was living small. Every idea that was small. And then I had to find the fear that it was attached to that made me believe that I couldn't have what I wanted. And I'm working on that day by day, and that was January 1st. And here we are in this new space where I can expand, where we can expand, where this community can expand. Now, what comes out after being authentic? What's left? Does anybody know? What comes out after being completely authentic? Which means you don't care what anyone thinks about you anymore. You may not know exactly what you're going, where you're going, or what you're doing, but you're good with it.
Action.
Action, yes. The last step of the death of the ego is I am transparent. I am light. I am the prism. I am all the colors in one. What you see is what you get. And being transparent basically means that I am no longer having to explain myself for who I am, what I want, what I'm doing. And there's several different types of starseeds on this planet. And if you don't quite understand what a starseed is, basically it's a different energy structure of consciousness that has a higher frequency within its DNA. And as the planet began to evolve a really long time ago, we knew that this was going to be very difficult because of how much density was on this planet. So all of you signed up to come here and bring your light to the planet to start the seeding. And some of you have had children, and those children might have had children. And those children are just another form of seeding the planet, and more come all the time. But there's different levels of these star seeds. You've heard the indigo, the rainbow, the crystal. Well, we can really look at that as levels of density. In the 40s they came, and it was such a dark space. There was no guidance. There was not a lot of opportunity. They literally just had to come here as a seed and be. So we lost a lot of them. They went home. Come back at another time. And as others began to come, it became easier for them because there's more and more of us. And when you come and you land here on this planet and you have that unconditional frequency of Christ consciousness within your soul, it's a beautiful thing. But it is a hard job because you feel alone. And you felt isolated. And before you had your awakening experience, you wanted to leave. This place didn't feel like home, and maybe it doesn't feel like home still. But I can promise you, when you become transparent, you will own this place. Because you will walk and you will create just as the Christ did. Within his frequency, he held the transparency. He was so much more than authentic. He was transparent. And in this time-space reality, being transparent basically means all you are is a mirror. So when someone walks up to you, they aren't going to see you, are they? They are going to see themselves. And that's why Hitler could have, 4 million followers and Christ had 12? Because everybody that walked up to him saw themselves. And everyone who walks up to you, even when you're authentic, is going to see the reflection of themselves. So when someone doesn't like you, what they're saying is they don't like themselves yet. And you love them enough to stand in your truth to show them that, don't you? Now ego says, why don't they like me? But the soul says, I am your mirror. So as we move into this transparency phase, we will all feel more like one. Identity is about ego. Gender is about ego. So as we give up the idea that we are our name, and we are our degrees, and we are our sexual perfection, then we can completely embody what's left. And what's left after that? Who are you without your name, and your past, and all your stories, and your troubles and your triumphs? Do you have something below that? Because I promise you, when everything changes on the planet, that's the only thing that's going to matter. When we have a very big crisis on the planet, what do people do? They forget their entire lives and they run into service. And all they're doing is being of service. They are not their identities, they are not their jobs, they are not their bank account, they are not their relationship status. They are just a being of light showing up to be of service. So I urge you, especially this month, to really look at your life and decide what needs to go. Because you will be dragged. I promise you. It's time to let go. And it's time to expand into the unknown, because where you're going, you have not been. No one has been where we're going. There has never been a planet that evolved as fast as this planet is evolving right now. Every day, there is a viral awakening. Every day, more and more people are becoming aware of themselves. And in that awkward stage of adolescence, we need guides. We need teachers. We need the ones who have already gotten their sea legs in the new world and that can assist with the newborns and parent the new kids. Because as you've noticed, these new kids won't eat that bad food. They won't drink that bad water. They won't have those bad thoughts. But you know what they will do? They will mirror you for you. Our children are our teachers. If you're ever curious about what transparency looks like, find yourself a 2-year-old. Completely transparent. Which means they are allowed to feel their feelings. And you, as beings of light, you're allowed to feel your feelings. Because the only way out is through. We can't go home unless we go in. And inside is where we've stored all the pain. So maybe that's something we can let go. Just with breath alone, we can let go of thousands and thousands and thousands of years of pain. Just through breath. By drinking clean water, we can fall back in love with ourselves. By eating good food, we can teach the world that we prefer good food. And we can teach the world that we are no longer eating food that doesn't serve us. Every time you buy organic food, you're teaching the universe how to treat us. Sad we have to call it organic food because it's just food. But we're coming full circle. And if we learn to grow and have beautiful gardens instead of beautiful lawns, then we can start feeding ourselves pretty cheaply. Because I will tell you that you're going to have to get extremely creative when there's no more money. We're going to have the whole MacGyver phase come back. And we are going to be building things out of the craziest materials, and we're going to be on a whole new level of genius. Why? Because we have to. And the soul loves to be challenged in that way. Look at how easy you have it right now. You're hungry, you get in your car, you drive 5 minutes, and within 1 minute of a drive-through, you have a meal. You can go home, get in your warm house, turn on your TV, and check out for an entire life, if you choose. Do you know how easy that is? Let me ask you where you will be if you no longer had electricity and access to fast food, prepared food. What would your days look like? Makes you want to make friends with a farmer right now, doesn't it? Because we are moving there and it's fast. Last month I didn't see the shift on the timeline yet for the money, and I do see it now. And when I can see more than 5 probabilities of something manifesting within a 2 to 5 year period, I'm going to share it with you. Because that means it's becoming form. Which means it's becoming enough people's strength to come together and say, we got this. We don't need this. We can do this. Do you understand why all of 2015 was about self-love? Because if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be part of a team, are you? You can't be part of a community if you don't love yourself, because you will become a cancer in that team, and you will slowly destroy that team. So we needed to go through this last 5 years of hard knocks and beat ourselves into the floor and go, okay, I get it. I get it. I need to stop being spiritual and I need to start being authentic. And as we move into this time, you can find out exactly where your ego is by what role you're playing right now in your community. If you want to know exactly where the phase of your ego is today, look at your role in your community. Where do you spend your time? How are you treating your body? How are you treating others, and how do you feel about how others are treating you? It's time to level up. It's time to grow. It's all about action. Now, I don't want you to be trying to follow mainstream media to try to figure out what's happening with the money, because you will never find out the truth by looking through mainstream media. But I will promise you that social media and the internet is your tool. It is the Akashic records in matter. If you want to know what's going on in Greece right now, money-wise, financially-wise, governmental-wise, Google it. Same with China. But make sure that the stories that you drop down to read, there's a resonance within you before you believe it as truth. And what is resonance? Resonance is your ancient wisdom confirmation. When you read something and it impacts you instantly as a knowing, that is your truth. And because we're from all different places in the star system, we might have different resonancy points. We might understand and duplicate information differently based on what our background is. So make sure that the information that you are reading and searching, first and foremost, makes you feel good. And it also resonates at the core of you. Because if you're reading a lot of stuff that doesn't make you feel good, what level of ego are you at? If you claim to be an indigo warrior and you're complaining about the government, you've got some growing to do. Because we have created our government because we have been lazy. We have given our power away. We have said, I don't know how to do that, you do that. And then when they do it, we don't like it. But I will tell you a secret. I get to work with hundreds of light workers all the time. All of you are light workers. And there is thousands of you, light workers, working in the IRS, working in the government. Probably have some in this room. You are our star seeds that are going to break it down from within, and we honor you. Because the change doesn't come from throwing rocks at the White House. It comes from souls that are strong enough with their unconditional love within their DNA to take the job and to go work into a system that is completely corrupt and shine light through it. Because it will crack from within. It will break down from within. So you need not worry. You don't need to protest. Protest is complaining, isn't it? And that's not even not being authentic. So what does a transparent life look like? Maybe that's something we'll be talking more about in March. Because I will tell you, March is going to be intense. February is our Action Through Unconditional Love month. It's very soothing. But March is going to challenge you. It's going to ask you to level up. It's going to ask you to take a leap of faith. It's going to ask you to step into the unknown where you've never been and go without direction. That's just you being led by your heart. Can you do that? You have no choice. If you're sitting in this room, you have no choice. But we're in it together. There's one of us in the room right now. We're all a reflection of each other. And the best way to learn about where your ego is on its level of basically integrating completely back into the soul is to look around and see what you see when you see people. Because if you see anything other than another wounded child sitting next to you, then you have some work to do. When you see the heinous acts of people out in the world, if you see anything other than a wounded child, you have work to do. Because hurt people hurt people. And pain is a cry for love. Your job as the second coming is to see through the mask into the heart and nurture the child sitting next to you. Because therefore you will be nurturing yourself. It's going to be a big year for us. And I'm going to keep doing Second Sundays, even though it's out of my comfort zone, until we don't have to do this anymore. So I want to open it now for a few questions. I have a couple of different things that I have planned for today. But I want to get a little question and answer going before we move on to our next little segment. Get you all fired up first, right? Get you all moving, get your blood flowing. I see the vibration just keep shifting up and up and up. So what questions do you have right now?
What different, you said you see 2 to 5 different scenarios with the money and the changing. What are some of those that you see?
Well, it's inevitable that it will shift. The timeline keeps changing. And let me tell you what the timeline is dictated by. The fear thermometer on the planet. So as the fear thermometer is at its high, nothing will change. Because fear keeps you sedative and controlled. But once you're not afraid anymore, you start taking action. So as the fear thermometer begins to change on the timeline, we accelerate. So what was maybe 2 months ago felt like 20 years before this would happen is now down to about 5 years. And I will tell you that if all of us just did our own soul work, our own personal process, this could happen in 18 months. Because as the fear thermometer starts to drop on the planet, then guess what happens? We're less afraid. We quit the corporate jobs without having any idea of where we're going. And in meditation, we have a new inspiration. I know, I want to start this company. And this company is going to be all about change. That's how we're going to change the planet, is by facing our own fear, because our fear is what's keeping us afraid and stuck. So how about doing something every single day that you're afraid of to help that fear thermometer drop very quickly? How about paying it forward every single day, even if it's a hug, to see that drop quickly? Because you, being in your heart space, affects 750,000 people. Just you. You know how important you are? But when you're not loving to yourself, you're not doing much for the change. We've got to lower the fear thermometer down, at least into frustration. Because what happens when you're frustrated? You take action. When you can't be at that job anymore, and you just say, I can't do this anymore, and you quit, and you have no idea what you're doing the next day, that is where all of your power is. Because it's a space between what you're doing right now and where you're going that is you. You are the space between the past and the future. And if you look at music notes, if you look at music, there is a space between even every note. Yes? You are that space. And without the space, the song would not be a song. So find the space between where you've been and where you're going, and build your power about what you could do on this planet if you had no limits, because you do not have limits. You were taught you had limits. You were taught to be the person that you thought you were 2 weeks ago. Now you have to teach yourself who you choose to be, and only you know it at a gut level, right here in your solar plexus. That is the you that has always been there. And that's the you that needs to walk your walk. In order to teach anyone, you must only be an example. Your words mean nothing. It's what you do. So if we could take action every single day, an act of kindness, a moment of gratitude, a facing of a fear, I can guarantee 3 weeks your life would look completely different and the world would begin to change faster. And maybe next month in March, if we all did this every day, who knows? We might start to figure out who's a gardener and who's a painter and who's a builder right here with us. Because I tell you, when it happens, it's going to happen fast. And we need to be ready for it, because there's going to be people that are going to be afraid. But there's nothing to fear, because we've known it all along. The things you wanted to do when you were a little kid, start doing those things. All of those hobbies you wanted to pursue, I can guarantee you it's linked with your purpose. What you're good at and helping other people is your purpose. So did that answer your question? When? The timeline?
No, I was thinking more like money, and when you mentioned money earlier, you said like the money is not just like cash money, but it's like our food and it's everything. And
It's the whole idea of control. So we've had free energy on this planet since the beginning of time. We've had food on this planet since the beginning of time. And we've had energy on this planet since the beginning of time. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much where the world is controlled, through energy, food, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. And money. Mm-hmm. So since we've had all of these things all along, yet not doing anything with it, then the timeline has been not collapsing as fast as it wants to as far as the demise of that control system. But look at all of our urban farmers. Look at all of our